I want to help break the stigma of what a heroin addict looks like, because 6 months ago from today, I was hanging out under a bridge in Kensington shooting dope.
Welcome to the In Recovery, Shadowboxing with Life on CCP TV, the Emmy-nominated educational channel of Community College of Philadelphia. I am Dr. Pascal Scoles, Professor of Behavioral Health and Human Services here at the college. The great irony of existence is that what makes life worth living comes from our dark side. It comes from everything that makes us suffer and ultimately heal. As we struggle with life, we are forced to live more deeply and more fully. Many great stories illuminate the shadow side of life. Great leaders understand this, and this understanding makes them humble and effective human beings. Today, my very special guest and shadow boxer is Danielle Fillmore. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about your original startup with your addiction and how it occurred, and maybe we can get some insight for people who watch the show.
Yeah, I'd love to share. I started my path to full-blown addiction started with an eating disorder at the age of 14. Okay. And I was not willing to let that go, and that was my best friend for many years, until the age of 21 when I discovered alcohol, and drinking distracted me from engaging in my eating disorder. So now alcohol became my new best friend.
So would you say you had like an addictive personality type initially?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. I can remember as a kid looking through the medicine cabinet in our house and like looking at the bottles of Tylenol and Alka-Seltzer and reading that, like, the warning labels to keep it away from kids. And I'd be so upset, like, why I couldn't try it, why I couldn't take a pill or two.
Sure.
I always wanted the thing that I couldn't have.
Sure. I know you had many years as a fairly successful fashion model.
Yeah.
Out of New York and Japan,
Yep.
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I modeled from the age of 16 till 27 when I had to go into treatment for the first time. And an eating disorder supported my career.
How did you get into the progression? I mean, I know eventually, I think it was Dolores, was it, you told me you were on, and that you had started with, alcohol.
Yeah, so I got married at a young age, again, like looking for something to give me a high, like falling in love, getting married, that was kind of providing a high for me. So I got married at a young age. And
how young were you?
I was 24.
Oh, okay.
And again, hiding this eating disorder from my husband at the time, I decided, I found out that alcohol would help keep that hidden. And in order to not do such damage on the liquor supply that we had shared in the house, I would start hiding vodka in my closet.
I mean, extra bottles.
Extra
that you
bottles,
would buy.
yeah.
And then, if you're a typical history, you then probably emptied those bottles and then threw them out,
yes,
so that he wouldn't know.
It was a daily ritual. Every single night on my way home, I stopped at the liquor store. I got 2 pints of vodka. Those were for me.
And you drank them every day?
Every single day for 2 years.
You know what's insidious about the disorder is that it almost becomes like your best friend, the alcohol or the drugs that you take. But you made a progression.
Mine was, yeah. I've learned throughout being in treatment that the disease of alcoholism is a progressive disease. And for me, that was absolutely the case. Because I had my fun times with it in my early 20s. I'd go out, have a few drinks, maybe not have a few drinks, and I'd be fine.
For a non-dependent person, alcohol is like a social lubricant. And if you don't get to a point where you got and I got,
Right.
you're okay.
Right.
So to speak.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you made the progression. It's not an uncommon progression. Like people sometimes will start with marijuana and drink. Were you smoking weed too?
Here, yeah, sure,
Yeah,
here
yeah.
and there.
And then you moved from there into a much more serious. Now, I know that your progression did occur around the hospitalization, if I'm not mistaken.
Hospitals became a huge part of my story. Before I entered into my third rehab, I was hospitalized more than 32 times within 1 year.
Oh, really?
As a direct result from my drinking.
Not
Just
overdosing.
drinking. I became addicted to going to the hospital. I enjoyed being taken care of. I'd bring liquor to the hospital.
Oh, really?
I'd sit in the waiting room and with a few bottles, and that was my thing. I felt like as someone with a substance use disorder, it's a common character defect, so to speak, where I've always felt like deprived of love, and going to a hospital, I would feel like I'd receive attention and love, and I became addicted to that.
Caring people there, I guess, in the facilities, in the hospitals.
You get the warm blanket, and are you okay? You know.
And sometimes some people feel that the addiction does that. The alcohol, you know, it's like becomes a close friend.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But out of those 32 times that I was in and out, you know, I put a whole new meaning to frequent flyer when it came to going to the hospital. 7 weeks was the longest that I was in there. I had developed severe pancreatitis from drinking those 2 bottles every day. And they had me on a continuous drip of Dilaudid while I was in there. And that's when I discovered opioids.
You liked the opioids. Again, if it's truly like and if it has that quality of addictive personality, yes, there's a certain kind of a progression, and you can move from alcohol
Absolutely.
to, you know, a variety of other substances.
Absolutely. And like it's so important for me to share my story of how the alcoholism progressed into drug addiction, because I want to help break the stigma of what a heroin addict looks like. Because 6 months, tomorrow I'll have 6 months clean and sober. 6 months ago from today, I was hanging out under a bridge in Kensington shooting dope. And you wouldn't look at me and think like,
Right.
That's...
Yes. And if I'm not mistaken, I think you relapsed once when I was talking to you.
I absolutely did.
You disappeared for a short while. And I said to myself, oh, I guess Danielle didn't do well this week.
Yeah.
And then you came back, which is great.
I am grateful that I've been given so many chances to come back. And, you know, I look at my life today and I see that so many people haven't been given this opportunity to live a clean, sober life, and I have. So what am I going to do with it? Like, the footprint I leave behind on this earth is going to be one that, God willing, that recovery is possible.
Oh yeah, there's no question about it. The person sitting here with you, I think time is very important. Time from the use pattern will get you where you want to go. So you had all these relapses. You know, you mentioned actually 32 of them.
So many relapses.
I wasn't relapsing every month. What was that? Say you commit and then you
every 24 hours, every month. I was not willing to put down the drink. I was not. No, living sober, like, that was so outrageous to me. It's just so boring, so mediocre, so... No, I was going to drink the way I like to drink, and there was no other option. And it got to the point when I discovered the drugs and the alcohol together, there was really no reason for me to live otherwise. I was living to use. I was living to drink.
How did you get from there to recovery?
Well, I was told that from others around me that I might have a problem with alcohol. I didn't agree with them.
Of course.
Of course.
Of course.
It was, I was convinced that life had dealt me a series of unfortunate events, and that's why I was getting in trouble with my drinking. So eventually I was brought to AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, and then eventually brought into my first rehab, which was, at that time I didn't know what rehab was. My family didn't know what rehab was. And I had gone to this state-run facility upstate New York. It was dirty, it was overcrowded, it was loud, it was like the Jerry Springer show. It was terrifying. Okay. And that's what I thought
recovery
I thought it was punishment. I was like, okay, this is what I get. Black mold all over the place, cockroaches. I thought treatment was punishment.
What are you doing differently now from that relapse to now that you feel is helping you in your recovery?
Well, with me, I have so many cross addictions, co-occurring disorders, that it really took a long time for me to get all of the proper help that I need. Every single aspect of it needed to be in place. I can confidently say today that I am living a sober, happy life, that I'm enjoying, I sleep well, I'm happy, I'm happy. And I've needed all of those tumbles throughout my journey of finding recovery to get where I am today. I've discovered, I need the Vivitrol injection once a month.
Can you explain to them what Vivitrol is?
Sure.
The audience, I'm sure, doesn't know.
Yeah.
And I know, and you know.
So the Vivitrol injection I get from a psychiatrist. It's a once a month injection, shot in the butt, and it basically it acts as a blockade.
It blocks a neurotransmitting block.
Yeah.
Basically the morphine heroin
right.
substance.
If I was to get my hands on heroin, Dilaudid, morphine, whatever, it would block the high. I would not be able to get high. So I consider it as it's like a safety net for me.
That's right. That's exactly what it is. In alcohol, they use Antabuse.
Right.
So, if you try to take it in alcohol, you throw up.
Yeah.
Things like that would happen.
Yeah.
So you feel that, do you feel that you're going to live with the Vivitrol for a long time?
I'm only focused on today. Okay. I know today that it helps me tremendously. So the Vivitrol, my psychiatrist, my psychologist, I see a therapist now every other week. It used to be every week. I found that talk therapy really helps with my co-occurring disorders. And AA, surrounding myself with other women who struggle with substance abuse, working with a sponsor in AA, being involved in the collegiate recovery program at school, here at community college, living in a sober environment. I live at the Haven. It's an environment for college students who are in recovery. And I find it very helpful. I learn from my housemates, how to have sober fun. Sober fun is possible. I'm not just saying that.
Yeah. Well, I think right now, I think the path you're on is a very good one, and I hope you stay with it. And obviously, the college and through the Office of Collegiate Recovery and the Recovery Club here will provide a little bit of that support, and then you have your outside support network, and that should all be real helpful to you.
Yeah, I definitely want to utilize every resource that I've been gifted. I feel fortunate in the sense that I do have access to a lot of resources.
Well, that's good. Well, that's all the time we have for today. I would like to thank my special guest, Danielle, for sharing her recovery journey with us. I would also like to thank you, the viewers, for tuning in. You have been watching In Recovery, Shadowboxing with Life on CCP TV, the Emmy-nominated educational channel of Community College of Philadelphia. I am Dr. Pascal Scoles, Professor of Behavioral Health and Human Services and Director of the Office of Collegiate Recovery. See you next time.